Jesse Townsend is at Parkway Athletic Club, and he's a trainer there. If you want to check him out, or you can go down there, or you can look at Parkway Athletic Club online. If you want to reach out to me, you can get me at stevemain.com. So welcome, Jesse.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve.
Yeah, we decided to turn this thing on because we were just talking about this topic. We titled it, "Is Your Trainer Stupid?" And I've been doing this for a long time, 45 years, doing crazy stuff, testing out what things are going to do to my body, training at different intensity. I've done a lot. I'm not going to say all, but I've learned a lot. I've matured a lot. I've been humbled on how the body works. And I look back and look at the mistakes I made, the coaching mistakes I made when I was 25. And it frustrates me that there is a lot of bad coaching, and there's a lot of bad doctors. There's a lot of bad personal trainers. There's a lot of bad nutritionists, dietitians. And you see the fat cardiologist. Why would I listen to you? Why? So welcome, Jesse. And just what are your initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, like you said, so, being here with you and just some of the knowledge that we share, right? And years of being in, the health industry, the fitness industry, and educating people and trying to do our best to continue to learn, and it's part of it, right? If you're going to be good at what you do, you're always open, hopefully, to taking on more knowledge. And like you're saying, when I was newer, to doing the coaching thing, for sure, and still make, mistakes that I need to work on and correct. I think that's, just part of life, right? Is continued growth through effort of education and learning through what you do that is not correct, and hopefully sharpening it up for the next time around and getting through it a little bit better. So point being, yeah, there's a ton of bad, we'll call it professionals or however you want to name it, in all different types of professions or lines of work, right? And you see it, at different places you go, and it's pretty obvious. The one thing that's a lot different about coaching and training than what I just said about the obvious part of it is, when you're on the side or you're next to someone that is a coach or a trainer, and they're certified and they're qualified and they have credentials and they're supposed to be in any way you put it, at a high level, knowledgeable in what it is that they're teaching you. And then, like you said, of course, there's a part of them, I hope, practicing it, for themselves and leading by example through the processes that they try to teach. But the point being that I'm making there is, like, it's hard to, when you decipher, as somebody who's on that other side with a coach or trainer talking to them, it's hard to decipher whether or not the information and knowledge that they're giving you is proper or is right. Because let's face it, people that are, not all, but most people that are going to get coaches and going to get trainers are going to them because they don't have the knowledge themselves. They don't, haven't put the time into it. They're obviously not doing it, most of them, as there's always exceptions to every rule. So I'll just name that out there. But most of them are going there to get those things. So my point is, even if that coach or that trainer, sounds like they're really good and has the right things flowing out of their mouth and seems very confident, in what they're putting out there as a product, it's almost that easy in this type of thing, to get people to buy into what you're doing. And it's dangerous, quite frankly. And there's a lot of, area in there that you can call, gray area. And there's a lot of area in there where basically it's kind of like malpractice, from a doctor's point of view, and like we were just talking about on the diet side of it, again, when I was young, I made tons of mistakes, and I'll continue to do that, until I leave, this place that I'm at right now, this earth, right? So point is, as I made those mistakes, I worked through them, and I never tried to make egregious ones that would harm or put people into safety predicaments that threaten their safety or could hurt them, right? And fortunately, hadn't had any cases in my career. Very thankful for that. So, but again, point is when you're getting information, like let's say like what we were talking about on diet. A lot of what is happening when coaches and people in positions like I'm in are talking to somebody else about helping them with these things, they're giving them information that may work well for them. And where you see that the most is when that person is inexperienced. Again, there's exceptions to every rule. This can happen, at different levels, but where you see it the most in all the years, which is coming up on a couple of decades here for me in doing this, just in another year and a half or so. So I've seen a lot of it, and I've hired, I've recruited, I've hired, I've trained, I've developed at this point hundreds of people for training positions and other things in gyms too, just like you have yourself. And so my sample size is good, and it's legit, right? It's real. And so I know that it comes from a place usually where they're inexperienced, and they're trying their best to, like a lot of people, get clients, get busy in what they're doing, be professionals. Unfortunately, they're not doing what I think is the first oath, like I mentioned earlier, that you're supposed to take. And in something like this, just like a doctor or anybody else in the health related field, I believe that if they don't have the information to pretty much almost an exact, the information should not be given out. And what I mean by that is like the idea of somebody as a trainer, thinking that because a diet that they use or something they practice to get them in shape for some event or some show or something like that, if they take that and they think that that's cookie cutter, and they can just go ahead and, print out a bunch of copies of that and say, hey, you want to know how to get as lean as I am? And that's usually where it comes from. As I shared with you earlier, some of the questions when people are coming up to talk to me at different places, some of the questions I'll get asked right away is, what do you do? What do you do to look like that? I know you have to eat, really good, and you have to do certain things. And I'll usually get asked first, how much protein do you have each day? How much do you have? And they're trying to think that because I look a particular way and have a particular amount of muscle mass, if they copy that, this would probably work for them too, right? Whatever it is that I do, right? So point is, it's this same idea flipped when it's coming from some coaches that don't have the experience, don't have the knowledge, quite frankly. And the other thing I want to put out there is they may not be doing that again, thinking that they're, or wanting to be harmful. I don't believe that. I probably believe most people that are coaches and trainers, we do this stuff because most of us are very passionate about helping people and wanting people to do what's right for them. And so, I don't think it's by nature, malice or egregious by nature, and like they're trying to hurt others. But that's the knowledge that they have at that level, right? And see, these certifications, when you get into that part, and I don't want to go far down this lane because I don't want to cross, lines and talking smack about certifications. So I'm not going to put names and stuff like that to the ones that I think aren't good. But basically, there's many out there that don't give, that don't give the proper study experience or the proper educational experience to anybody who's trying to get certified through some of these associations. And they don't offer, a way for them to really learn through it what they need to know to even give people what are the basics, like calories in, calories out, macronutrient, splits, and what percentages are usually right for what types of people. There are some specifics that you can learn about nutrition at a level that a trainer can use and be safe to hand out to most people. Again, not that everything works for everybody, but there are safe ways to have some of this information. Unfortunately, what has happened, man, in about, I would say the last 10 years is the market has been flooded with these certification companies, right? And I mean, we'll say it as it is, you make a lot of money off of it. The training thing picked up and became huge, and so quickly in the health industry as it continues to grow as tremendously and as it does, right? And so the certification companies popped up. And what happened, like a lot of other businesses or other lines of work or whatever you want to call it, basically the level of education and the level that they provided as far as the credentials that they gave people after doing the process went down a lot. And these certifications are still, to some companies, acceptable, because it really depends. It's the company's interpretation, obviously, in most points, of if they accept this certification or they don't. A lot of companies only accept nationally, accredited certifications, like NASM, ACE, ACSM, which is pretty next to like a clinical certification. And that's how we do and practice what we do, at the clubs that I'm a part of, Parkway and other ones that I'm a part of as well. Point being, there is a lot of separation there, because as I'm telling you right now, some of those certifications, Steve, like, and anybody else who's watching this, I could put you on that. Not you, let's say anybody who doesn't have much experience in health, fitness, let's say has none, but just has a little bit of common sense. I could put you on that certification process. There's many that I could name that I've seen this happen, because I have to be savvy to know what to work around with these things for keeping the business at the highest level of performance I can for the trainers that we have in our departments for what I do. And there's ones I can put people on, and literally, if they have some common sense and they can, basically use a mouse and answer yes and no and true and false. And even if they miss and don't get it right, you don't pay until you pass the test, and they'll let you retest right after you take it. They're about 100 question tests, which is nothing for a certification, by the way, for what is legit. And they're 100 question tests, and there's not just one or two of these, there's many of these, and they're going to continue to keep popping up, because it's about money. It's about making money, man. That's what companies are trying to do, right? More people want to train, more certifications pop up. It starts to get so diluted with this level that I'm talking about that really, what is the difference anymore, to employers as they see them is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, you can take someone, put them on there. If they can move a mouse and they can answer questions, pretty much they will pass. Not pretty much, they will, because if they fail, some of these certification courses will even fix, or not fix for you, but they will tell you what you got wrong, and it'll be a true false answer, if that makes sense. So you just have to switch from, I got false on the last one and I missed it by 5 questions, but I answered 5 that were false that I know are wrong. I just got to switch those to true. Now I'm certified. And then you can have that certification sent right to your email. And that day, that moment, now you can go on whatever, Indeed. Now you can go in person if you still do things that way and talk to somebody. And if you look a little bit athletic and a little bit fit maybe, and you can speak some of the lingo because you've done it yourself, guess what? Now I'm a trainer. Welcome to the club. Let's go ahead and get you started and put you on, right? And I'm not saying every company. This is just example. It's my opinion on why, like you and I were talking about, misinformation is out there at such high levels, and why a lot of people, even when I meet with them and I do what is called our evaluations and things to try to get them in a good place to work with a trainer on a professional level, I get a lot of questions about, hey, I had past trainers that just, they didn't know how to explain it, but just weren't good. They just didn't know, really, to me, it didn't seem like they knew what to do, and I didn't get results, and I felt like it was a waste of time. Well, I think in a big way, what I just talked about is a major reason why this happens more and more than how it, I hate to be the, older speaking person or whatever, this says the way it used to be, but there used to be testing centers that you had to schedule dates for after you studied these certification courses, and you had to drive to the closest testing center that was to your hometown. Like for Reno, where I'm at and where I was, it was Sacramento. And so I had to go there and test in Sacramento. And if I didn't pass, I had to wait a period of time, like any high level, credential that you're trying to achieve. And it was a proctored exam. And it's just diluted, man. That's my opinion on, if you talk about root cause of misinformation, that's where I think it's coming from.
We can talk more about this next time, but the last thing I would say is, just because your trainer looks great, just because they're certified, that does not mean they're not stupid, because they might be. They might not be good at what they do. Just like doctors, don't just say, oh, this is a doctor, he knows what he's talking about. No, not necessarily. I have a bad attitude. After, like I said, for doing this for so many years, I have a bad attitude. It's like, just because you're a doctor, well, you're starting off as ignorant. You don't start off with nobody gets the benefit of the doubt with me. So just because your trainer looks good, your coach looks good, or they have certifications, that doesn't mean they're good. So maybe next time, we can talk about, how do you pick a good trainer? How do you know? Because we're vulnerable. And if you don't understand how the body works, it's hard to know if you're getting good advice or bad advice. So can't wait to continue this topic. Jesse's at Parkway Athletic Club. Thanks for being with us, Jesse.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.